We move to something more worrying now. Holidaymakers in eThekwini are unknowingly bathing in beaches with high eColi levels in Umhlanga. The tourist hotspot is once again experiencing beach closures, this time due to 2 pumps at the Portland pump station not working. Newzroom Afrika's Nobuhle Modise has more on this.
So we're at the Umhlanga main beach at the moment, where you would know that the rule of thumb here in the metro is that anything above 500 counts per 100 milliliters is considered critical, and therefore that warrants for beaches to be closed. That's in regard to eColi levels. I'm going to bring Alan into the conversation just to chat to us, about the call that they've made and how they feel about the situation. Alan, thank you very much for joining us. I mean, we're standing here right next to sewage. Yeah. The smell is putrid, and we're still seeing people getting into the water. What are your views as Action SA regarding the sewage crisis?
I think our views are several. I think the biggest issue is that the mayor hasn't admitted that there is a crisis. I think until he can admit there's a crisis, he's not going to address the problem. He says there's no crisis. I mean, you can witness that there is a crisis. So we think until the municipality actually says there is a crisis, can they start fixing it? But we don't believe there's actually a political will or any idea how to fix it. And the other thing we're hugely concerned about, and we've addressed in our court papers, is the lack of transparency. We want testing to be done on a more regular basis. I mean, we just walked past Bronze Beach now, and they said the last testing was on the 2nd of June, and the eColi levels are 135, and that's a blatant lie. It's a blatant mistruth, because we've got readings on the 20th of the 6th, so they're showing recordings that are 3 weeks old. So they're actually misleading the public, and I think it's actually criminal what they're actually doing. I come down here, I'm a resident of Umhlanga, I come down here quite often and I see little kids swimming in the water. It's quite unacceptable. It really is unacceptable. We should be protecting the residents, the businesses of eThekwini, our visitors, and our tourist industry. I mean, our tourist industry is on the back foot, and our heart really goes out for them. So we're going to do whatever we can to make sure that this crisis gets fixed.
And then let's speak about some of the people that are here today bathing. I mean, we're not seeing any lifeguards, we're not seeing any officials from the city telling people not to get into the water. As I mentioned earlier, there's just those signs that are saying no bathing. They're also not being transparent about what the current readings are. What are your views on this, especially because a lot of people's lives are being put in danger here?
Yeah, so I've got a friend who actually owns a guest house, and she asked people for their comments, and there was an international athlete that was staying here. He went swimming at Bronze Beach the day before the beaches were closed, and his whole family got sick. He's got a little toddler that got sick, and he's an international athlete. And then people were down here for the comrades, and they were just saying that it's just unacceptable, the smell and everything. And while we've been here, we've seen a couple of people walking through this river of sewage. We've seen people swimming in the sea here. We're just calling for more transparency. We can't put the lives of tourists and residents at risk. It's just unacceptable.
I mean, at this point, do you think anything is going to be done? Do you know anything that's been said about those 2 pumps at the Portland pump station? I spoke to someone from the Tourism Authority, the Umhlanga Tourism Authority earlier, Duncan Heafield, and he was speaking about the fact that he visited the pump station yesterday, and it looked as if there was some work being done. Is this enough?
Yeah, there's definitely work being done, but our big concern, this pump station, as I say, I'm a resident, I'm Umhlanga, I'm surfing here, I come down most days, and this has been like this for about 3 weeks to 4 weeks. So they're only acting on it when we start jumping up and down. I mean, they should have their internal... I mean, you don't have to be a scientist, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to know that there's an issue. You just look behind you and there's water flowing out. So there is an issue. So why did they take 3-4 weeks to address it? Just before the tourist sector. And in our court papers that we've lodged against them, they've put an action plan. They said 95% of the pump stations are working. Well, I think they've done their sums wrong. I only think 5% are working. Because wherever you go, you got this beach, you got Umhlanga, the pump stations aren't working. And these are what we see, because this is flowing onto the sea. But how many other pump stations that we can't see that are flowing directly into the river? And that's our big concern here.
Thank you very much. That's Alan Beasley from Action SA, just giving us his views around the sewage crisis in the city. And as I've mentioned, the city says that this is as a result of 2 pumps at the Portland pump station not working. And the word around is the fact that the city actually doesn't have any money, to fix those 2 pumps. So we will be getting some answers from the city of eThekwini as soon as we can, and we'll bring you that report as and when possible. For Newzroom Afrika on Channel 405, I'm Nobuhle in Durban.